Hey guys, welcome back to the 1930 skirt project. Today we're going to be working on steps 17 through 23, and so for that we're going to need the two piece 7 lining pieces and the lining piece for the right yoke. So let's get started. So to begin, we're going to work with piece 7, which is our two lining pieces here for the waistband. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to the iron and we're going to press up the seam allowance so that it goes up into the waistband. And once we're done pressing this, we're also going to trim this in half or down to 1/4 inch, depends on how you feel. And we're going to trim off this section. We're going to do the exact same thing to the other piece on this lower edge here. So once you've pressed and clipped, this will complete step number 17. Step number 18 is we're going to pin the waistband lining, which are these lovely piece 7 pieces here, to our piece 5, which is the right yoke. Now, as you can see, I have lines drawn on this side and on the other. The reason is I was silly and drew the lines on the wrong side. It is what it is. I'm not going to recut the piece just because I put the lines on the wrong side. So what I'm going to do is, because I've gone ahead and made all my points on the other side just like I have on this side, I'm just going to keep moving forward. So what we're going to do is we're going to match up our little match points on the side seam here, and then also over here as well. And then we're going to go to the machine and we're going to stitch this guy down. I am going to be working on the machine today because it is longer stitches. If you have to do it by hand, it's just going to take a little longer. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, you can see here that I've gone ahead and stitched this one side from through the seam allowance, on top of the seam allowance here, and then again over here the same thing, through the seam allowance at the top and on top of the folded edge here. Now we're going to go to the iron and we're going to press this seam open as well as this seam open. And when we press the seam open, we also want to press this guy open as well. I'll show you what I mean here in just a moment. So at this point, we've completed up through step 19. So we have this side, we've stitched it and we've pressed it open, and over here we've done the same thing. So now what we want to do is, just like we've done here on our back waistband pieces, we need to fold up and press up this bottom edge of our yoke, and we're also going to want to trim it down to about 1/4 inch. So let's get started on that. So here we are, and I'm done with step 20. So now step 21, we're going to attach this guy to our skirt. And oh my gosh, guys, we are so close, and you can see my instructions right there. We're so close to being done. Hang on just a moment. So we're going to pin this together, right sides together. Now we're going to want to leave this guy here because this is the center back. We're going to want to match up the edge here with the edge in there. So we're going to actually have a little piece hanging off, and that's okay. We're going to take care of that in step number 22. So with the right sides together, so we can see the seams here and you can see the inside seams there. So those two are going to what you're going to be able to see. We're going to stitch along this top line here all the way around the skirt, and we're going to have these two little pieces here hanging off at the center back. Okay, so I'm going to get ready to go to the machine, and I'm all nicely pinned all the way around. One thing we do want to make sure of when we're doing this is we can see my seam here, and it matches up exactly with the seam over here. We want to have our seams lined up as well as the end pieces of our waistband. It just makes things look nice in the long run, and it's just nice. It's just pretty. It's just pretty. So I'm going to go to the machine and I'm going to give this a stitch. Alright, so as you can see, I'm all nice and stitched in all the way around. And for those of you that have a sewing machine and can do this, what's going to make your waistband sit down even more nicely, is we're going to go to the iron and we're going to press everything up, and we're going to do a small little stitch 1/4 of an inch away from this stitch line. We're going to stitch all the way around again. This is what's called understitching, and basically it's just going to hold down the lining just that much, that mo better. Now, if you don't have a sewing machine, you do not have to do this step. However, you are more than welcome to. You could do a running back stitch like we have on these other places. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick understitch. I'm going to press it, and then I'm going to go stitch it, and I'll be back. Alright, so you can see there's my understitch. That's the seam, and this is the understitch, and it goes all the way through to the other side, so we can see on this side. Now what I'm going to do with this, just so that there's a little less bulk, I'm going to trim this seam down, and then I'm going to press this so that it goes to the other side like it's supposed to, and I'll be back with that. So now I have my skirt turned inside out, and here's our new yoke piece that we've just added, and our understitch if that's what you did, and here's the back waistband, and now we have this little flappy-doo hanging off. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to fold it under and tuck it in so that the fabric clears the teeth of our zipper, and we're going to slip stitch this down, and then we're also going to slip stitch all of our new piece down so that it doesn't go anywhere. Very similar to how we did this guy here. Now we're going to go all the way around and slip stitch this guy all the way around, and doing the same thing, folding back this piece of fabric so that it clears the teeth and slip stitching that down as well. So I'll be back. You can actually fold this back and then fold it down, and it should mostly clear. You may have to do a little fudging, and that's okay. You can just fudge it so that it clears the teeth. And then I'm going to start doing this, and I'll be back when I'm done. So as you can see, I've gone through and I've slip stitched this guy to the skirt all the way around, including this area here. So all the way down here, you can see my stitching is there, and it goes all the way up the side and around the bend here. So now that that's done, that completes step number 22. Step number 23 is putting in the hook and the eye. So here's our hook and eye, and we're going to put the hook, if you're looking at your zipper here and the outside, it's inside out, we're going to put our hook on the right, and we're going to put our eye here on the left. So it's going to look just like that. So I'm going to stitch it, and I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, so you can see here that the hook is on, and so is the eye. So that means that step number 23 is done, because we'll be able to zip this guy up and then attach that at the hook and eye so that it stays together at the very top. Alright friends, that completes step 17 through 23. We are so close to being done. We just have to do the hem and a couple of finishing things, and then this thing is going to be finished. Y'all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, stay inside, wash your hands, and I'll see you next time.